Hey guys, so I'm just here with Chris Talbot from the Talbot Centre. We've done some work with Chris and Amy over the last few months. And I just wanted to run through and share a little bit about the experience and get Chris's kind of insight into the process from his perspective and how that's been able to add value to their business. So Chris, thanks for jumping on and have a bit of a chat.
No worries.
Legend. So basically with you guys, do you want to just kind of give us a bit of a one sentence about what you do and what the business is?
Yeah, so the business is a mental health / allied health business. We provide, mental wellness services to clients. We have a range of different clinicians and a fairly growing admin team to support them in that.
Perfect. And so with you guys, you reached out initially. You're in a bit of a situation. There was some challenges going on around specifically as it related to what we kind of discussed and the reason you engaged us. What was that? What was happening? What was the experience prior? What was going on?
Yeah, so quite a few of the team members wanted to better understand their performance. They wanted to better understand how their data, numbers looked in terms of their performance and tracking against KPIs. The process we had for tracking KPIs at the time was very, very manual and required a lot of work from me to get that done. And so, we reached out because we needed a much more effective or a much more efficient way to start tracking those.
Yeah, perfect. And so in terms of some of the manual stuff, like I think I'd be making it up if I kind of threw a number out there, but I know it was a fair few from memory. Like how many hours were you spending roughly? I think it was per month you were spending like a day or a couple of days. Is that correct, or am I off?
Yeah. So it would usually take me 2 to 3 hours per clinician to complete some of the basic KPI tracking we were doing for them.
Yeah.
And I would have to do that for 6 to 7 clinicians every 3 months.
Yeah.
And then each week there were some broad numbers I was tracking for like our kind of management discussions, and that was taking me a good half a day to do.
Yeah, okay. And so then on a management level for yourself, for Amy, up that kind of management end of the business, what was the impact of the fact that there was a bit of time taken around pulling that all together? Like how did that manifest as a consequence of some of that more manual approach?
Yep. So it either meant if we had to answer the questions ad hoc. So say, for example, we were out at a course or a development program and somebody asked that information, the data either would be old or it'd take me time to put it together. Or basically it meant we had to schedule meetings around when we had time to make sure we had that information available.
Okay. Excellent. So then in terms of, you reached out to us, had a bit of a conversation, put a bit of a plan together and went through a process. What was that experience like for you guys working with us in terms of communication, in terms of kind of that journey that we went through?
It was incredibly comprehensive. I think what we were asking for was particularly complex set of KPIs and data that we're looking at. And so it was really good to actually go through all the different bits of information we were trying to track and work out where was the information coming from, how are we using it, how do we want to display that information. And so, it was actually really good to go through all the different bits of information we were pulling and get a better understanding of what information we were using. And in some cases, often what information we were doubling up on. And so, it really helped give us a better overview of what we were actually looking at.
Okay, excellent. And so for yourself, like you're not a novice when it comes to kind of Excel formulas and spreadsheets and all that sort of thing. So you do have a fair bit of experience. One of the things we often find is that people kind of, without really knowing what's involved, often want to kind of jump in and have a bit of a go themselves. Other people are kind of like, they see the value already, so there's no need to, and it's just way out of their realm of confidence or capability. For you, like what would you, how would you describe the difference between what you were able to kind of achieve in playing with it initially yourself versus then the outcome we've been able to achieve off the back of the engagement?
Apples and oranges. What I was able to achieve and the things I'd play around with, because it's an unfamiliar program, and even if some of the formulas from Excel translate into something very similar into Clipfolio, which is what we're using, it could take me 2, 3, even 4 days to get some basic clips together, whereas you guys were able to achieve entire dashboards with dozens of clips seemingly in no time. So yeah, it was, and not just that, but also the size, the layout, the changing of colors. There are so many different features that you can edit and move around and position things that, yeah, unless you're really familiar with that specific program, um, will just take a very long time.
Yeah, totally. And so then as an outcome, like, what do you guys, where does this fit in the bigger context of the business, and what you've got planned on a vision level in terms of how this is going to then really integrate and become really applicable to the clinicians, to the business as a whole, to the team, broader team? Like, what does that look like?
Yeah, so our business currently is in a status where we're currently scaling. So we grew very wide very quickly, and now we need to start growing vertical. And the challenges we've had with growing vertical is with dissemination of information, and also with everybody understanding not only their own performance, but how the team as a whole is performing and what their roles and responsibilities are. And so having this information relatively at our fingertips, or like quickly accessible, is just makes a world of difference when we're going into these conversations, or when we're trying to plan for the next couple of months. We can see, we can look ahead, we can see what's coming up, we can see the workflow that we need to plan for. For example, we've just put an office manager in place, and so giving her the ability to see, all right, well, what appointments and what workflow and what types of appointments are coming up in the next few weeks is really going to help her when she's planning rosters and where and what resources she's going to need, because it's highly variable depending on the work that's coming in.
Yeah, totally. And so then if someone is out there kind of watching this, and they're sitting on the fence, they're like, hey, do we go and try this ourselves? Do we kind of just engage someone else? Do we even need dashboards? Is that even relevant to our business? Like, there's so many things we're tracking. Maybe we've got a great inbuilt reporting within a particular system they're using, but they're using multiple different systems. And so they're kind of aware that there's maybe a need. Like, what advice, or what would you suggest or recommend to someone in that situation where they're kind of like trying to work out that plan forward, and what to kind of do?
I would say firstly, definitely find someone who's already done it or gone through the process that you can talk to. So try and find someone who understands what you might potentially get out of it at the end. You really want to understand, how am I going to be using these dashboards, and what am I going to be using them for? And I think if you can have that conversation, and you can really understand how you want to use them and what you want to use them for, then you will see the value of the end result. I think you'll also have a better picture going into it when you're trying to plan out, how do we lay them out, what information do we need in them, and when you're trying to work out where is the data coming from, if you have the outcome in mind, as in what information you want to display, it'll also help you a lot in terms of using the right information to get that output.
Yeah, perfect. It's one of those things that a lot of people miss and kind of brush over, and then it hinders the ability to kind of move quicker in terms of the outcome. So that's a great suggestion and recommendation. So thank you, Chris. Appreciate your time, mate, and I look forward to chatting again soon.
No worries.